Greetings, friends. It's Dr. Marcia McPhee in the Worship Design Studio, and we are going to get ready for the Changemakers, a new series from Worship Design Studio.
In my dreams, I can fly and I soar, and my feet touch the sky. And it seems I can go anywhere if I try. And the world's not so dark when the clouds make it white. If there's no hope, tell me why. In my dreams, I can fly. Tell me why. In my dreams I can fly.
Well, welcome to this new series by the Worship Design Studio in collaboration with the Changemaker Initiative. I'm excited for Worship Design Studio subscribers to learn about the Changemaker Initiative, and I'm excited about those of you who are involved in the Changemaker Initiative to take advantage of these resources that we have created in the Worship Design Studio that will help your entire congregation get the feel, the theme, the theology, the biblical grounding for what you're doing with the Changemaker Initiative. So Jesus said, go and do likewise. This series is about Jesus as a change maker. And a change maker is a risk taker, someone who puts their faith into action to make a positive difference in the lives of others. Jesus was a change maker. The good news is, so are we, made in the image of God, sharing in the purposes of Jesus, and empowered by the Spirit. We are the assets we've been looking for. Our wealth lies in the compassion, collaboration, creativity, and empowerment that sustains us through change, for the sake of a better world. Join us as we hatch new ideas and fly to new heights, risking something big for something good. Those four words, compassion, collaboration, creativity, and empowerment, that you just heard in the synopsis, are the titles of the 4 weeks of this series. These are four attributes of changemakers that our collaborators, the Changemaker Initiative, have defined as those things we need to cultivate spiritually in order to be changemakers in the world right where we are. Now, who is the Changemaker Initiative? It's a movement of churches that have said that lay people can be changemakers right where they are, where they live, where they work, in their communities, and that can be sustained and supported by the church and its values for making the world a better place. It's a different way to look at perhaps stewardship. And so you may want to use this series alongside your stewardship season, but it can work for any time of year. So, friends, let's take a look at what is in the series. If you're new to the Worship Design Studio, then you need to know that we start with an anchor image that is a visual metaphor for the essence of the message. It's a way of saying this is the core of this message. And so if you get nothing else, this image will help you get it. Well, the image is birds, and we took that from the Changemaker Initiative logo because we thought it was a perfect way to talk about those cookie cutter birds all on a wire, and this one bird, this orange bird, which is the color of adventure, this orange bird taking off to new heights. So this is the whole idea, is that during the series, you will be identifying what is the passion that you have. What change could you see in your life, in your places of work, in your communities? And what are you passionate about? What do you want to take off to new heights? Now, it's also about the nesting, right? We need to take care of the nest. The nest is where we get that support. And so it is both about the support of the church nest, that church community, but it's also about supporting those who then go out, go and do likewise, as Jesus said. So that's the anchor image. And then if you are a Worship Design Studio subscriber, you know that we have lots of different things to help support the worship of the church. So everything in all the worship arts. And we're going to go over exactly what those things are. All right, in your downloads, you're going to see, first of all, an overview. This is where I really get to help you get on board with what is the theology of the series? Why did I think it was important? Why would you want to do this? And so I introduce you to the theme and then I give you an overview of the order of worship so that you can see what are in the scripts. Now, I highly recommend that you read the overview, that you have your team read the overview before you look at the scripts. Now, the scriptures and synopses document, that's where you can get an at a glance look at the development of the season over the 4 weeks. And so that's a great way to get an at a glance look at the synopses. That's just a couple of sentences of summary of what each of the services are about, as well as the scriptures that are attached to those. Now, for worship scripts, these are fully scripted. In other words, all the leader words, all of the liturgy, everything. Now, here's the important thing. You are going to adapt for your context. People ask us all the time, is it okay if I change a word? Is it okay if I change a hymn? Is it okay if I, yes, 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 because we can't know what's exactly right in every word for your congregation. And so we give you everything you need and we say, please adapt this. Use what you need, leave the rest, change what you need. And that's our way of offering you the hospitality, the freedom, the agency to do exactly what you need to do for your place. Okay, so for worship scripts, you're going to adapt these. And what I suggest is that you look at all four of them before the series begins. So don't do it 1 week at a time as you're inside of it. Do it beforehand. I like to teach preparing for worship in batches, right? So you're going to go through all the scripts, make all the changes that you need so that before the series even begins, you're going to have it all ready. And you're going to feel so accomplished and so relieved when you have it all ready, even before the series starts. Now, the rest of these I'm going to get to as we open these documents up and take a look at them. But let me just list them for you. Children's time scripts. I'm so excited. These, well, I'll tell you in a minute. Communion script. We always offer a communion script. You use it on whatever Sundays that you do communion or every week if that's your tradition, but you adapt those to go with your tradition. Sermon fodder, I have a big surprise for you on that one. Amazing. Visual and media ideas, we give you so much. I'm going to give you a little peek into that document. Music documents and files, we have two guest composers that have graced us with music for various parts of the service. I'm going to share with you about that. Small group suggestions, lots of different book studies you could do, small group guides, guided devotions. And because we're collaborating with the Changemaker Initiative, they have a 6 week ready to go small group guide about being a change maker. So you would start before the series begins, just the week prior, you do all 4 Sundays, and then there's a conclusion gathering. So lots of things at your disposal. We have music videos, and I'll tell you about those when we get to the materials. And we have, of course, our logo and trailer. Let me show you quickly how you get to all of the materials, and then I'll give you a sneak peek into some of them. In the Worship Design Studio site, when you get into that after you've purchased it a la carte, or if you're a subscriber, of course, you have access to all of our series, but it's in the ordinary time on the left-hand menu, and it says the Changemakers. And so when you click on that, you get the screen that gives you access to everything. Now, down right there, you can click on this. It's going to give you the link to download all the materials in the series in one fell swoop. Now, you could do it individually in the website, but this is the best way to get it on your computer, especially those of you who are in charge of the process, in charge of the worship. You'll want to have all these files on your computer. So when you click on the link that's in there, you're going to go to something called Open Text Hightail. You do not have to sign up. You don't have to sign in. You see that in the upper right-hand corner. You do not have to do that. You just have access right there to those files, and all you have to do is click that download arrow, and it's going to start downloading all of those files onto your computer. So easy peasy, don't need an account or anything. This is just where we put our files so that you can get to them easily. Okay, friends, here we are inside the website. So you can see the Changemakers here, and which brings up this horizontal menu where you can get to everything. Series materials is where all the materials are. Highlighted hashtags, this is going to be where preachers, you might want to click on that once we get to the fall and other people are doing the series, and you can exchange ideas there in our sermon discussions hashtag. That's hard to say. Photos and ideas. This is as you're preparing. We would love for you to share your ideas, share your photos of what you're doing so that we can be collaborative, that other churches that are doing this can get ideas from you and you can get ideas from them. This is where you see everybody who has access to that to find people that you might dialogue with. And this is a chat where we can all just chat, ask questions, and keep each other appraised of what we're doing. All right, so scriptures and synopses and overview of worship. These I talked about in that list of what's there. So this is where you want to start definitely to get a really good idea of what's there. Download the series is where I told you that you go to get that link to get all of the materials. Here's our free social media images. You're going to download those. Those do have the Worship Design Studio brand on them, but you can also purchase separately for $15, the unbranded version, if you want to put your church logo on all of those. Now, here's a little document that I put together about if you're going to use this as a stewardship focus. And just to give you a little bit of some ideas about how to do that, how you might incorporate that. Reverend Kathy McShane and I did an interview, and you will want to watch that well before the series begins so that you can think about how you want to incorporate this into your stewardship campaigns, if that's what you're going to do. So, lots of information, a little bit more about the Changemaker initiative itself. And I do want to say that their materials are wonderful and the process is wonderful. And I hope that you will consider becoming a cohort. They're going to do a cohort in early 2026. And so perhaps this series will inspire you and a group of people from your church to be part of that cohort. You can find more information about it there. As always, we have a shared videos resources for other churches to use. And this is where the Worship Design Studio community is so fun because we share ideas. Now, you can send to our upload link. You can email to us, however you want to do it. But this is things like if you decide to create some stewardship letters, let's say, that use the imagery of this series, you might share it with other churches. You might collaborate with each other to think about how you're going to do this. That's just one idea. Some people make videos. Some people make videos of the children's time that other churches can use. Some people I mean, there's a lot of things. Some people write songs. It's amazing what people share. So that's where you get the information about sharing that. Now, we've got the weekly worship scripts. Let me tell you, if you're not familiar with the Worship Design Studio, each one is made into a PDF so you can look at it easily online. It'll just pop right up and you can just take a look at it. This is what we call the pretty version, right? So it's like our published version of it. And then you also have access to the Word doc of it so that you can adapt it. This is what you want to download so that you can change things. You can change things into the order that you're used to or make whatever adaptations that you need. Okay, there's the 4 worship scripts there. Communion liturgy is there. Children's time scripts. Okay, let me just give you a little look into the children's time. Okay, friends, here is the funnest thing about this series, I believe, and that is that Jackie and Shadow of the Big Bear Valley webcam. Oh my gosh, it's been all the rage. And so I use the story of Jackie and Shadow and their little fledgling babies, who are named Sunny and Gizmo. We have edited clips that go with each one of the weeks, and we've been given permission by the folks who run the webcam to do this and for you to share it. So it's just so much fun. These are used to talk about how we need those four attributes of compassion, collaboration, creativity, and empowerment. And all of those have something to do with raising these little baby eagles. So with birds as an anchor image, it just goes so great. Now, let me tell you about one of our collaborators, music collaborators. We have two guest musicians, but this is Al Start, and she is this incredible composer of children's songs in the UK, and she agreed for us to use the chorus of one of her songs called Be a Changemaker. How perfect is that? In the children's time. And so there are signs that go with it. So I have done a little YouTube tutorial to teach you how to do the signs. And you'll want to have one of the nests for the children so that you can, every week, there's something to do in the nest, as well as to sing the song or to actually hear the song and to sign during the prayer. And it's just so delightful. I'm excited about that. Now, if you don't have children, I would think about maybe calling it the story for all ages and just do it for your adults, adapt it for your adults, because the story of Jackie and Shadow is such a great story for these four attributes. So that's what's in there, friends. Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Sermon fodder. Okay, I told you I had a surprise here. This is the surprise. Not only do you have our usual sermon fodder, but Reverend Kathy McShane, my friend, dear supporter of WDS, she actually has four sermons for you that you can adapt, you can incorporate into your own sermons. She has written notes on them to help you adapt some of her stories, or I mean, it's just amazing. You have sermon manuscripts here in this series because of her generosity. So I'm very excited about how easy it's going to make it to create powerful messages for this series. Okay, that's the sermon fodder. Visual and media arts ideas. Let's just take a peek in here. Jenna Duxbury is our program manager, and she always compiles these ideas that I kind of hatch and then she puts them in some sort of coherent order. And so your visual and media folks will want to look at this ahead of time, more about the anchor image of birds, but then how you could create paper birds, like folded origami kinds of things. But there's also other kinds of folded paper birds that you could do. You could hang those in streamers all around the space. And so there's just lots of links to help you to those how-to tutorials for that. But also the nests and eggs. We have a part in the service that is that ritual of the nests. And so here's some ideas for creating eggs for those nests. Lots of fun ideas. Ultimately, we might want to have some laying open at some point so people could put their ideas and their prayers in there. So just lots of different ideas. But look at these fun ways of having bird nests around the space. There's all kinds of wordplay about nest eggs that we can play with here for this stewardship season. All right, so we love the colors of the logo, and so I went to Michael's and I got lots of finds for that. That was easy. I just wonderful, whimsical ways to bring the series metaphors alive in your space. All right, so friends, everything you need to know there for visual and media. All right. As usual, we have small group suggestions, but we have again a bonus because of this collaboration with the Changemaker Initiative. Not only do we have small group suggestions, like lots of different books for book studies, but also we have a ready to go small group study, both the facilitator's guide and the participant's guide for you to use to actually have this 6 week ready to go small group study. So that's a bonus, a big bonus. But as usual, we and the Changemaker Initiative folks helped us with this, have compiled a list of books that goes along with it that you can vet and see which ones really would resonate with your folks. Now, I want to stop right here for a moment. This is a book by Reverend Kathleen McShane and her co-author, Rabbi Elon Babchuk. And this is about leadership after empire, picking up the pieces. We're going to have a webinar conversation with these co-authors about their book because it is about a shared leadership model. In other words, not a top down, but a shared leadership model that they have seen reinvigorate congregations. And so I'm very excited for you to hear from them, but also leaders, I want to especially recommend this book because the Changemakers series really is about cultivating the ideas and the passions of lay people rather than lay people just going, okay, what programs is the church going to offer for me to be a disciple? They are encouraged to say, what do you see in your life, in your work that you want to work on, and how can we support that? So it's a very different kind of leadership. As usual, we have suggested books for all different age ranges. So here's teens and tweens, children, lots of children's books. So friends, those of you who are involved in education for different age groups, definitely look at that resource so that you can plan how you're going to do your curriculum for the series itself. All right. So that's small groups. Guided journal. We always love to make a guided journal because not everybody wants to be part of a small group, but we believe wholeheartedly in some sort of follow up, in some sort of way for people to go deeper in their own reflection, in their own meditation during the week. And so we create these guided journals. And this one has an added bonus. Now, this is where I get to talk about Bobby Joe Valentine and his work for this series. Bobby Joe Valentine is a singer-songwriter, and he was in residence at Los Altos United Methodist Church that initiated this Changemaker Initiative work. And he has offered us 4 of his songs to be played in worship if you want to, or it's just part of this, either use this in your small groups or for individual study. And this is a QR code or a link to visit one of his videos. Let me just do that and we'll see.
At the edge of the world, when it seems like I might fall, that's when I face the choice to go back to the middle of it all, or be brave.
I won't play the whole thing, but you'll get to see all of them. So not only are these part of the journal, but you can also play them in worship. And so Bobby Joe is giving us permission for you to play, and we've put them in the downloads, the actual videos in your worship, and permission to stream those, etc. You are going to fall in love with Bobby's music if you don't know it already. So that's very exciting. Now, let's go. Speaking of music, let's take a look. So I've talked to you about a couple of the guest composers that we have for this one. So the Threshold song, the Threshold is the introit on steroids, is what I call it. It's the beginning of each service. It helps to focus us, to center us. And he has a song called Fly, and we have just used the chorus of that. It's kind of an earworm. Ever since I started putting this together, I've been singing it in my head. But we have piano accompaniment in there. We have a video recording. We have an audio recording, whatever you need to do that. But also the music videos by Bobby Joe. We have the Be a Changemaker song by Al Start. Again, we have accompaniment versions. We have recordings that you can use if you need to. The third song that we put together for this is called Let Us Be Makers. And usually I like to have a song that is an introduction to prayer or bookends in prayer. And so I took Blessed Assurance tune because I wanted something really familiar because you're going to have enough new stuff with the other composers. But Blessed Assurance, and I wrote lyrics that could be used for prayer time. There's a doxology, and I also incorporated communion verses that could be used in communion. So those are all there. The music is there, super easy, super familiar, but brings the theme home and brings it all together. Okay, so yes, just lots of things to download around music resources. What you want to do is you want to have your musicians open the music notes document right away and just get oriented, especially if you've never used a worship design studio series before. This will really help your musicians get oriented to what all are in the downloads and how to use it. Things in the scripts like underscoring, I use this word, and sometimes I suggest that you use music underneath words. It's a really powerful thing to do, but I also teach about how to do that without it being distracting. And so there's educational clips there if that's a new thing. So it just goes through and it lists out in this document all of the different choices that we made for each. Like this is the opening hymn or song, and we always do a classic and a more contemporary or modern song for each one. And if these don't work for your congregation, just listen to them, see what is the theology of it. What is it we're trying to underscore or I shouldn't use that word again. What is it that we're trying to highlight as the theology of the moment? And then put in a different song, something that's more familiar to your folks, if you need to, right? But we try to do some things that are pretty standard, are pretty familiar. Finally, the series logo. This, of course, has our partners logos, our logo, the Changemaker Initiative logo on it, but we give it to you plain so that you can put your logo on it, right? And we always like for you to just give credit where credit is due. There are liturgies in this one because this is a collaboration by folks from the Changemaker Initiative. And so we have those notes in your scripts. And if you can just put those in your bulletin, that's wonderful. So people know who wrote those things. But also you can simply put that this series, The Changemaker, adapted with permission from worshipdesignstudio.com/changemakers. Then if that gets in the hands of anybody else who was wondering where this all came from, they have a link to a website where they can see where that is. So that's really helpful for us in terms of credits. And the series trailer. So friends, wow, that is a little get ready sneak peek into all the materials. Like I said, there's probably more than you can use, and that's a good thing. You will use the pieces that work for you, and you'll use them in the way that works for you. So if you have any questions, my friends, always know you can email us, Marcia@marciamcphee.com, and be active on the website. Be part of the community. Ask questions there in the website. Post your pictures of what you're doing, of how you're creating nests and how you're hanging birds and all that good stuff. It is just such a rich experience when you know that you are not alone, that you don't have to start from scratch. That is our purpose. That is my ministry in this world. And thank you so much for all you are and all you do on behalf of God's people. Many blessings.